I'm a self aware, knowledgeable, proactive individual, largely unrestricted by the attitudes, behavior, or actions of others. Your ability to act rich of far beyond your own resources and encourage highly developed levels of interdependency. Your decisions and actions are not driven by your current financials or circumstantial limitation, your experience and interdependent freedom. Remember that your paradigm is the source from which your attitudes and behavior flow. A paradigm is like a pair of glass, it affects the way you see anything in your life. If you look at things through the paradigm of correct principles, what you see in life is dramatically different from what you see through any other centered paradigm. I have included in the appendix sections of this book a detailed chart which shows how each center we have discussed might possibly affect the way you see everything else. But for a quick understanding of the difference your center makes, let's look at just one example of a specific problem as seen through the different paradigms. As you read, try to put on each pairs of glasses, try to feel the response that flew from the different center. Suppose tonight you have invited your wife to go to a concert. You have the tickets. She excited about going. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. All of a sudden, your boss calls you into his office and say he needs your help through the evening to get ready for an important meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you are looking through spouse centered or family centered glasses, your main concern will be your wife. You may tell the boss you can't come, you can't stay, and you take her to the concert in an effort to please her. You may feel you have to stay to protect your job, but you'll do so grudgingly, anxious about her response, trying to justify your decision and protect yourself from her disappointment or anger. If you are looking through a money centered lens, your main thought will be of the overtime you will get or the influence working late we have on a potential raise. You may call your wife and simple tell her you have to stay, assuming she is understand that economic demands come first. If you work center, you may be thinking of the opportunity you can learn more about the job. You can make some points with the boss and further your career. You may give yourself a pat on the back for putting hours well beyond what is required, evidence of what a hard worker you are. Your wife should be proud of you. If you are possession center, you might be thinking of the things the overtime income could buy, or you might consider what an asset to your reputation at the office it would be if you stayed. Everyone would hear tomorrow how noble, how sacrificing and dedicated you are. If you're pleasure center, you probably can the work and go to the concert even if your wife would be happy for you to work late. You deserve a night out. If your friends centered, your decision would be influenced by whether or not you had invited friends to attend the concert with you, or whether your friends at work were going to stay late too. If you are enemy centered, you may stay late because you know it will give you a big edge over that person in the office who thinks he is the company greatest asset. While he is off having fun, you will be working and slaying down his work and yours, sacrificing your personal pleasure for the good of the company he can so blatantly ignore. If you are church center, you might be influenced by plans other church members have to attend the concert, by whether or not any church members work at your office, or by the nature of the concert. Handel Messiah might rate higher in purity than a rock concert. Your decision might also be affected by what you think a good church member would do and by whether you view the extra work as service or seeking after material wealth. If you are self centered, you will be You will be focused on what will do you the most good. Would it be the better for you to go out for evening, or would it be better for you to make a few points with the boss? How the different opinions affect you will be your main concern. As we consider various ways of looking at a single event, as it any wonder that we have young lady, old lady perception problems in our interaction with each other? Can you see how fundamentally our centers affect us right down to our motivation, our daily decisions, our actions, or in too many cases, our reactions, our interpretations of event? That's why understanding your own center is so important. And if that center does not empower you as a proactive person, it becomes fundamental to your effectiveness to make the necessary paradigm shifts to create a center that will. As a principal center person, you try to stand apart from the emotions of the situation and from other factors that would act on you and evaluate the options, looking at the balance whole, the work needs, the family needs, the other needs that may be involved, and the possible implication of the various alternative decisions. You'll try to come up with the best solution, taking all factors into consideration. Whether you go to the concert or stay and work is really a small part of an effective decision. You might make the same choice with a number of other centers, but there are several important differences when you are coming from a principal center paradigm. First, you are not being acted upon by other people or circumstance. You are proactively choosing what you determine to be best alternative. You make your decision consciously and knowledgeably. Second, you know your decision is most effective because it is based on principles with predictable long term results. Third, what you choose to do contributes to your ultimate value in life. Staying at work to get the age on someone at the office is an entirely different evening in your life from staying because you value your boss effectiveness and you genuinely want to contribute to the company welfare. The experience you have as you carry out your decision take an equality and meaning in the context of your life as a whole. Fourth, you are communicate to your wife and your boss within strong network you created in your interdependent relationship. Because you are independent, you can be effectively interdependent. You might decide to delegate what is deligible and come in early the next morning to do the rest. And finally, you will feel comfortable about your decision. Whatever you choose to do, you can focus on it and enjoy it. As a principal center person, you see things differently, and because you see things differently, you think differently, you act differently because you have a high degree of security, guidance, wisdom, and power that flow from a solid, unchanging core. You have the foundation of a highly proactive and highly effective life. Writing and using a personal mission statement. As we go deeply within ourselves, as we understand and realign our basic paradigms to bring them in harmony with correct principles, we create both an effective, empowering centers and a clear lens through which we can see the world. We can then focus that lens or how we as unique individuals relate to the world. Franklin say we detect rather than invent our missions in life. I like that choices of words. I think each of us has an internal monitor or sense a con- conscience that give us an an awareness of our own uniqueness and the singular contribution that we can make. A frank Frankel words, everyone has his own specific vocation or mission in life therein. He cannot be replaced, nor can his life be repeated. Thus, everyone talks is as unique as is his specific opportunity to implement it. In seeking to give verbal expressions to that uniqueness, we are again reminded of the fundamental importance of proactivity and of working within our circles of influence to seek some abstract meaning of our life out in our circle of concern, to abdicate Our proactive responsibility to place our own first creation in the hands of circumstance and other people. Our meaning comes from within. Again, in the words of Frankel, ultimately man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather must recognize this is but it is he who is asked. In a words, each man is questioned by life, and he can only answer to life by answering for his own life. To life, he can only respond by being responsible. Personal responsibility or proactivity is fundamental to the first creation. Returning to the computer metaphor, habit 1 say you are the programmer. Habit 2 then say write the program. Until you accept the idea that you are responsible, that you are programmer, you won't really invest in writing the program. As proactive people, you can begin to give expression to what we want to be and to do in our life. We can write a personal mission statement, a personal constitution. A mission statement is not something you write overnight. It takes deep introspection, careful analysis, thoughtful expressions, and often many rewrites to produce it in final form. It may take you several weeks or even months before you finally really comfortable with it, before you feel it as a complete and conscious expression of your innermost value and direction. Even then you will want to review it regularly and make minor changes as the year bring additional insight or changing circumstance. But fundamentally, your mission statement becomes your constitution, the solid expressions of your vision and values. It becomes the criterion by which you measure everything else in your life. I recently finished reviewing my own mission statement, which I do fairly regularly, sitting on the edge of a beach alone at the end of the bicycle ride. I took out my organizer and hammered it out. It took several hours, but I felt a sense of clarity, a sense of organization, commitment, a sense of exhilaration and freedom. I find the process isn't important as the product. Writing or reviewing a mission statement changes you because it forces you to think through your priorities deeply, carefully, and to align your behavior with your beliefs. As you do, other people begins to sense that you are not being driven by everything that happens to you. You have to sense of missions about what you are trying to do, and you are excited about it. Using your whole brain. Our self awareness empower us to examine our own thoughts. This is a particular helpful in creating a personal mission statement because the two unique humans endowment that enable us to practice habit to imagination and conscience conscious are primary functions of the right side of the brain. Understanding how to tap into the right brain capacity greatly increase our first creation ability. A great deal of research has been conducted for decades on what has come to be called brain dominance theory. The finding basically indicate that each hemisphere of the brain, left and right, tends to specialize in and preside over different functions, process different kinds of information, and deals with different kinds of problems. Essentially, the left hemisphere is the more logical, verbal one, and the right hemisphere, the more intuitive, creative one. The left deals with words, the right deals with pictures, the left with parts and specifics, the right with whole, the relationship between the parts. The left deals with the analysis, which means to break apart. The right with synthesis, which means to put together. The left deals with sequential thinking. The right with simultaneous and holistic thinking. The left is time bound, the right is time free. Although people use both sides of the brain, one side or the other general tends to the dominate in each individual. Of course, the idea ideal would be to cultivate and develop the ability to have a good crossover between both sides of the brain so that a person could first sense that what the situation called for and then use the appropriate tool to deal with it. But people tend to stay in the comfort zone of their dominant hemisphere and process every situation according to either a right or left brain preference. In the words of Abraham Maslow, he that is good with a hammer tends to think everything is a nail. This is another factor that affects the young lady, old lady perception difference. Right brain and the left brain, people tends to look at things in different ways. We live in a primarily left brain dominant world where words and measurement and logics are enthroned, and the more creative, intuitive, sensing, artistic aspect of our nature is often subordinate. Many of us find it more difficult to tap into our right brain capacity. Admittedly, this description is oversimplified, and new studies will undoubtedly throw more light on our brain functioning. But the point here is that we are capable of performing many different kinds of thought process, and we barely tap our potential. As we become aware of its different capacities, we can consciously use our minds to meet specific needs in more effective ways. Two ways to tap the right brain. If we use the brain dominance theory as a model, it becomes evident that the quality of our first creation is significantly impacted by our ability to use our creative right brain. The more we are able to draw upon our right brain capacity, the more fully we will be able to visualize, to synthesize, to transcend time and present circumstance, to project a holistic picture of what we want to do and to be in life. Expand perspective. Sometimes we are knocked out of our left brain environment and thought pattern and into the right brain by an unplanned experience, that of a loved one's, a severe illness, a financial setbacks, or extreme adversity can cause us to stand back, look at your life, and ask yourself some hard questions. What really important? Why am I doing what I'm doing? But if you are proactive, you don't have to wait for circumstance or other people to create perspective expanding experience. You can consciously create your own. There are a number of ways to do this through the power of your imagination. You can visualize your own funeral as we did at the beginning of this chapter. Write your own eulogy, actually write it out, be specific. You can visualize your 25 and then your 50 wedding anniversary. Have your spouse visualize this with you. Try to capture the essence of the family relationship you want to have created through your day by day investment over a period of that many years. You can visualize your retirement from your present occupation. What contribution, what achievement will you want to have made in your field? What plans will you have after retirement? Will you enter a second career? Expand your mind, visualize in rich details, involve as many emotions and feeling as possible, involve as many of the sense as you can. I have done similar visualization exercise with some of my university classes. Assume you only have this one semester to live. I tell my student and that during the semester you are to stay in school as a good student. Visualize how you would spend your semester. Things are certainly placed in different perspective. Values quickly surface that before weren't even recognized. I have also asked a student to live with the expanded perspective for a week and keep a diary of their experience. The results are very revealing. They start writing to parents to tell them how much they love and appreciate them. They reconcile with a brother, sister, a friend where the relationship has deterior- deteriorated. The dominant central theme of their activities, the underlying principle is love, the futility of bad mouthing, bad thinking, put down, and accusation becomes very evident when they think in terms of having only a short time to live. Principles and values becomes more evident to everybody. There are a number of techniques using my imagination that can put you in touch with your values, but the net effect of everyone I have ever used is the same. When people seriously undertake to identify what really matters most of them in their life, what they really want to be and to do, and they becomes very reverent, they start to think in large terms that than today and tomorrow. Visualization and affirmation. Personal leadership is not a singular expression. It doesn't begin and end with the writing of a personal mission statement. It is rather the ongoing process of keeping your vision and values before you and allowing your life to be congruent with those most important things. And in that efforts, your powerful right brain capacity can be a great help to you on a daily basis as you work to integrate your personal mission statement into your life. It's another application of being with the end in mind. Let's go back to an example we mentioned before. Suppose I am a parent who really deeply love my children. Suppose I identify that as one of my fundamental values in my personal mission statement. But suppose on daily basis I have trouble overreacting. I can use my right brain power of visualization to write an affirmation that will help me become more congruent with my deeper values in my daily life. A good affirmation has five basic ingredients. It's personal, it's positive, it's present tense, it's visualized, and it's emotional. So I might write something like this: it is deeply satisfying emotional that I personal respond present tense with wisdom, love, fairness, and self-control positive when my children misbehave. Then I visualize it. I can spend a few minutes each day and totally relax my mind and body. I can think about situation in which my children might misbehave. I can visualize them in rich details. I can feel the texture of the chair I might be sitting on, the floor under my feet, the sweater I am wearing. I can see the dress my daughter has on, the expression on her face. The more clearly and vividly I can imagine the detail, the more deeply I will experience it, the less I will see it as a spectator. Then I can see her do something very specific which normally makes my heart pound and my temper start to flare. But instead of seeing my normal response, I can see myself handle the situation with all the love, the power, the self control I have captured in my affirmation. I can write the program, write the script in harmony with my values, with my personal mission statement. And if I do this day after day, my behavior will change instead of living out of the script given to me by my own parents or by society or by genetics or my environment. I will be living out of the script I have written from my own self selected value system. I have helped and encouraged my son Seen to use this affirmation process extensively throughout his football career. We started when he played quarterback in high school, and eventually I taught him how to do it on his own. We would try to get him in a very relaxed state of mind through deep breathing and progressive muscles relaxation techniques so that he became very quiet inside. Then I would help him visualize himself right in the heat of the toughest situation imaginable. He would imagine a big blitz coming at him fast. He had to read the blitz and respond. He would imagine giving audibles at the line after reading defenses. He would imagine quick reads with his first receiver, his second receiver, his third receiver. He would imagine option that he normally wouldn't do. At one point in his football career, he told me he was constantly getting uptight. As we talk, I realized that he has visualized uptightness, so we work on visualizing relaxation in the middle of the big pressure circumstance. We discovered that the nature of the visualization is very important. If you visualize the wrong thing, you will produce the wrong thing. Dr. Charles Garfield has done extensive research on peak performers both in athletic and in business. He became fascinated with peak performance in his work with the NASA program, watching the astronauts rehearse everything on Earth again and again in a simulated environment. Another PhD in the field of psychology and study the characteristics of peak performance. On the main thing his research showed was that almost all of the world class athletes and other peak performance are visualizer. They see it, they feel it, they experience it before they actually do it. They begin with the end in the mind. You can do it in every area of your life before a performance, a sale presentation, a difficult confrontation, or the daily challenges of meeting goals. See it clearly, vividly, relentlessly, over and over again. Create an internal comfort zone. Then when you get into the situation, it isn't foreign, it doesn't scares you. Your creative visual right brain is one of the most important asset boards in creating your personal mission statement and integrating it into your life. There is an ent- there is an entire body of literature and audio and video tabs that deals with the process of visualization and formation. Some of the more recent development in this field include such things as subliminal programming, neurolinguistic programming, and new form of relaxation and self-talk process. These all involve explanation, elaboration, and different packaging of the fundamental principles of the first creation. My review of the success literature brought me in contact with the hundreds of books on this subject. Although some made extravagant claims and relied on anecdotal rather than scientific evidence, I think that most of the material is fundamentally sound. The majority of its appears to have originally come out of the study of the Bible by many individuals. In effective personal leadership, visualization and affirmation techniques emerge naturally out of foundation of well to through purpose and principles that becomes the center of a personal life. They are extremely powerful in re-scripting and reprogramming into writing deeply committed to purpose and principles into one's heart and mind. I believe that's central to all enduring religion in society as the same principles and practices clothed in different language, meditation, prayers, covenant, ordinance, scriptures, study, empathy, compassion, and many different forms of the use of both conscious and imagination. But if this technique becomes part of the personality ethics and are served from a base of character and principles, they can be misused and abused in serving their centers. Primarily the self-center. Affirmation and visualization are forms of programming, and we must be certain that we do not submit ourselves to any programming that is not in harmony with our basic centered of or that comes from source centered on money making, self interest, or anything other than correct principles. The imagination can be used to achieve the fleeting success that comes when a person is focused on material gain or on what's in it for me. But I believe the higher use of my imagination is in harmony with the use of con- conscious to transcend self and create a life of contribution based on unique purpose and on the principles that govern interdependently reality.